Wes Proder, he made a video about consistency with like aiming and stuff. The video summed up, he was saying that like you just have to accept inconsistency and that makes you consistent, because like trying to consciously control unconscious movements like aiming is just gonna fuck up your consistency, and like you end up getting in your own head, or I like to say getting in your own hand, because you're like physically trying to move your hand, and that just never works. Like you have to unconsciously play. That's what the flow state is just letting your body react to like the movements that it knows to do. Like you consciously can't replicate flicks perfectly. Unconsciously, you'll probably be more likely to be able to do that. So that's what he was saying basically. He's like, in his video, he's talking about like pretty much how to enter the flow state, and you have to accept the fact that you might not enter the flow state, and you have to accept the fact that you're not going to be consistent, and that makes you more consistent. And yeah, that shit actually works. I applied it to my game, but one thing I realized, that to add on to like what he was saying about like consistency, is that another thing I ended up having to like do to like really help me just enter the flow state. So before, when I would aim train, I would like no music, I wouldn't talk to people, I would like just try and be as focused as possible, right? Just in the zone, right? I would meditate beforehand, just try and be as focused as possible. And then while I'm aim training, like if I have thoughts in my head, I'd be like, no, focus on the target, focus on the target. And that actually fucks you up. I'm not gonna lie, that fucks you up. Because like there's like a conflict in my head of me like unfocusing on the target and trying to focus and unfocus, and it's like the conflict itself is what fucks up the flow state and makes it really hard for you to get in the zone. And so what I realized I had to do was to accept my thoughts, right? If I'm aim training, like let's say I would have like a song stuck in my head, and I'd be like, fuck, I can't, like, stop playing that song, just focus on the dots. And like I said, that conflict fucks you up. And so what I end up doing, and this was in the book The Art of Learning as well, but I would just let the music play. I would deliberately sing the song in my head and then just keep on aim training. And basically what that ends up doing is deliberately singing that song in my head, or whatever the fuck's in my head, just repeat on over, because I have ADHD. Like sometimes I'll just have like a phrase just fucking repeating over. It's stupid as fuck. But whatever's in my head, I'll purposely repeat it and just like sing the song and then keep on aim training. And basically me consciously singing that song distracts my conscious mind from overthinking and getting into my own hand while I'm aim training, and just lets my unconscious just start aim training. And I'm just hitting crazier shots. I'm PRing like crazy. So like I used to be like, man, if you you aim train and you talk to people, or if you aim train and like listen to music, like that's dumb, because you're not gonna be as focused. But it all depends on the kind of mood that you're in. So like sometimes it can help you out, like, because it can, if like you're overthinking things, like it can help you distract your conscious mind from overthinking your own movements, your motor movements, and then it like lets your unconscious mind just thrive in the aim training while your conscious mind is distracted on something else. So like to test this, because it was like in The Art of Learning, because he said that he was playing chess once, and it was something like with an earthquake that happened, and his opponent was like, it was Josh Weitzkin who wrote the book. His opponent was like flustered because there's like an earthquake happening in India while he's like at some chess competition, and then he just accepted that there was an earthquake happening and just accepted the distractions and just kept on playing, versus trying to like tune them out. Like the act of tuning something out, or like being in your own head of like the conflict itself is what distracts you. You just have to accept everything that's there. Accept it for it is. Accept the fact that you're going to be inconsistent. Accept the fact that you're going to make errors. Accept the fact that you might not enter the flow state. Accept distractions that are like messing you up, and then you actually end up entering the flow state. Does that make sense? And I tried this with my brother. So like my brother came home, and usually like when my family comes home, I'm like, fuck, no, I can't aim train, because they're going to like walk in the room, start talking to me, be loud as fuck. He walked in the room, or he came home, and he starts like, he's in the kitchen like cooking and shit, and I could hear him cooking, and normally that would bother me, but I was like, I'm just gonna accept that he's in there and just keep on going. I'm just gonna accept it. I'm just gonna hear it, and versus trying to tune him out, I'm just gonna hear everything. Just accept where I'm at, exactly where I'm at in this moment. And then I just heard him. I let myself hear him, and I was hitting PRs. And then he even came in the room, bro. He came in the room, and I was like, fuck, now he's gonna want to talk to me. I was like, I'm just gonna accept that too. I'm gonna accept the fact he's gonna talk to me and keep on going. And then I had a conversation with him, explaining what the fuck I'm talking about, explaining what I'm talking about right now to him while aim training, and like accepting the fact that I'm having the conversation with him. And then I PR'd right after. I hit like a personal record. It's like actually crazy. And then while I was explaining this to him, I was in the middle of a scenario, and he's like, oh, so if I try and distract you, like, you're not gonna mess up, it's gonna make you play better, huh? Sammy, like just being annoying as fuck, like pretty much yelling in my ear. And I was like, yep, it's gonna work. Yep, 100%. And I just accepted that he was being a distraction instead of fighting it. And then I PR'd again. Like it was It was actually crazy. And that goes to show, like, that's what the Josh Weitzkin talks in that book, The Art of Learning, is called making sandals versus like trying to carve a path. So like, there's like an old saying, I guess, where it's like, a man wants to explore the world, right? But like nature is full of thorns and, you know, bushes that are gonna like hurt your feet. So like, the guy has two options. One, he can either, you know, carve a trail and make a path for him to walk on, and like tame all of nature in its path. Or two, the dude can make sandals. And then that's what that pretty much is just making your own mental sandals to handle all the distractions, everything that comes your way. You can handle it because you got your own sandals on, versus some guy who has to, like how I used to be, where I had to close the room. I used to have to put the heater on because my hand's cold. Used to have to like make sure I'm focused as fuck, no music, no distractions, and then I can aim train. That's me making a trail, making a path. That takes too much work. I should just make sandals and just accept everything. Accept that my hand's cold. Accept the fact that my brother's gonna talk to me. Accept the fact that he's making a lot of noise in the kitchen. And then you fucking thrive, bro. That's when my aim was popping the fuck off. Like, it was actually crazy. I was popping off in the aim training. And I was in the zone, dude. And then let me see. That's some note I had down. Is like, people always talk about like, man, pros make it look easy. And it's like, it's the reason why they make it look easy is because they're not overthinking it. They're just doing. And that's something I used to like, that used to really mess me up, is because I would like, the act of me trying to avoid mistakes led to more mistakes, instead of just letting my unconscious, accepting mistakes and just letting my unconscious just, you know, just react to stuff. Like, let's say in game calling, instead of me trying to make the 100% most perfect call, nowadays I just react, and if it's the wrong call, I'll find out why is the wrong call, versus me trying to not to make that wrong call and being scared to make that wrong call. Just accept mistakes. And when you make mistakes, when you're in that flow state, you learn better versus you trying to avoid the mistakes. You learn more from making errors. That's just a known fact. So that's what I do nowadays. I just accept the fact that I'm going to make mistakes. I accept the fact I'm not always going to make the best call and stuff. And yeah, I just try not to control anything. I just be in the zone. And if mistakes happen, who cares? Accept them, you know? That's something I had to realize too, is that like going pro and like improving and stuff is actually a lot more relaxed and like enjoyable than I was making it out to be. Because I was making it out to be like super disciplined, super structured. I had to study, I had to do this all. I had to make sure I'm making the right calls, all this stuff. And it's like, it really isn't about that, dude. It's really about just playing the game, being in the game, being present, just having fun. And then when mistakes happen, just learning from those versus trying to prevent mistakes too. So it's like, this is like the thing that's tricky, because I know this happens to a lot of people, because I've talked to a lot of people who are super dedicated. This is the problem with like trying to improve, is that you have to take the game serious enough to improve, but you can't take it too seriously where it takes the fun out of it and the joy out of it, because that's actually going to lead to less improvement, because then you're not enjoying the game and playing, like you're not in the flow state, you know, because you're like overthinking shit. So you have to take it serious but not too seriously. You just got to realize that like having no expectations is a prerequisite for entering the flow state. So if you have expectations of how you're going to play or how you should play, you're literally fucking yourself up and you're not going to play that good. You just have to just play. Just let your natural stuff come out. Let your natural self come out as you play. And then just accept mistakes, accept errors, and then you'll play better.